Iran is giving us a generational buying opportunity right now to capitalize on our accounts and buy the dip on the volatility because there's a few stocks that are very oversold right now that we do have to capitalize on because right now in the market there is extreme fear. People are freaking out and panicking right now about the Strait of Hormuz and Iran is being bombed and they're bombing other people and the price of oil is going to $200 a barrel. It's going to bring inflation, the economy is going to crash, all this crazy stuff. So when that's happening, the fear greed index is showing extreme fear and people are freaking out and panicking. And if we just look at this on the timeline right here, ever since this Iran thing started to play out, you could see the fear greed index is going from greed to neutral to fear to now extreme fear. So the problem with most investors is there's so much information out there. It's hard to really know what is noise and what is signal. You go on CNBC, they say one thing. You go on a YouTube video, they say something else. You go on X, they say something else completely. It's really hard to know how to organize your thoughts and simply make money in the stock market. So we're going to go through it right here in a very simple way that anybody can understand of how to capitalize on this volatility right now and where we think the stock market's actually going to go in the coming months and coming years because again, we're all here to make money. So, historically speaking, when the market is extremely fearful, that is the time to buy. People are panicking, they're freaking out. We talk about stock options a lot on this channel. When things are on the dip, people are panicking. They don't want to buy call options. They think the market's going to keep going down. And I guess we'll just look at this on a chart right here. Like when the market, we'll do a 5-year chart of the NASDAQ. When the market was dipping right here for Liberation Day, everybody's panicking. They're all freaking out. Nobody wants to buy calls right here. Everybody wants to buy puts. So why not go sell puts right here for top dollar when the market's undervalued and it's likely to catch a rebound? And why not buy calls right here when nobody wants them and they're cheap, they're undervalued, and then when the market rebounds, everybody wants calls. So you're getting the best of both worlds right here when you capitalize when there is extreme fear in the market. And at the end of the day, I think this is kind of baloney, the word extreme fear right now, which the NASDAQ, if we take a look at this on a 1-year chart, NASDAQ from all-time high to right now, at the time of recording this video, it's only down 5.6%. I mean, for how fearful this is, you would think the market's down 15, 20, 30, even 40%. But we're only down 5 or 6%, guys, from all-time highs, and meanwhile, people are freaking out. And the reason why they're freaking out is because they see this. If we go to a 5-year chart, most investors started coming into the market in this time frame right here, and they made a lot of money because the market did nothing but go straight up and to the right. NASDAQ from bottom to where we're at right now in just a couple years, it's up almost 130%. So it's like that carried everything with it. So now we get a little bit of volatility, a little bit of a dip on a negative news headline about this Iran thing and oil going to the moon. People are panicking and they're freaking out. So if we scroll down a little bit on this fear greed index, we have to talk about a few very, very important charts to help build our thesis. The right now is probably a good time to allocate if you have a certain time horizon, which we'll talk about in a second. If we take a look at the market momentum, the S&P 500 versus its 125-day moving average. Typically speaking, when the market goes below the 125-day moving average, like it's below right now, the future returns for the market are typically better because it's cheap, it's undervalued, it's more oversold. The more oversold something becomes, the more locally depressed it gets at a time that there's extreme fear in the market, the better the buying opportunities are. But the problem with this is people have a very hard time buying when there's blood in the streets. The news headlines are all reading negative. So you have to flip the script and say, hey, if I'm going to a car dealership and a car is $50,000 yesterday and now it's $40,000, aren't you excited to go buy that car? You should be. So why is it not like that in the stock market with most people? It's because they sit on their phones and they refresh their accounts 14 times a day saying, oh my God, I'm up $50, I'm down $50, whatever it is. You can't look at this stuff on a day-to-day basis or you're going to go crazy. You could also see here on the left in April of last year for the Liberation Day tariff dump, you notice that how far the market actually went below the 125-day moving average. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but notice how there's this very sharp drop when Liberation Day actually happened, but then look at this very sharp rebound right here after Liberation Day kind of was like, okay, it's not really going to be this bad. Usually the best days in the market, the highest return days, are often after the worst days because volatility is very, very high. So if you want to sell out of the market and wait for the fog to clear and feel more confident about investing, you probably already missed a lot of the move. Like most people that just stayed invested, you would have been back to even from right here in just a couple weeks. But people that sold and they said, I want to buy in right here, now they notice that they're basically even with their original investment when they allocated right here. So time in the market beats timing the market, and times like this is not times to panic and sell. In my opinion, this is times to actually allocate. Now, again, if we just scroll through a few charts here, most of these just point to bearish and fearful. But I do want to point to one of the most important things is going to be the put-call ratio. And you might not think this is important, but let me explain this to you, and it might click for why I do options the way that I do it. Because we talk about options a lot on this channel. This is critical to understand. So the put call ratio is essentially how many puts people are buying versus how many calls people are buying. So if we take a look at this in April for Liberation Day, when the market was falling, when people were very fearful, when the market's clearly below the 125-day moving average and viewed as undervalued, what were people doing back there? Just think about how wrong people got this and how this could correlate to right now. People were loading the boat, buying put options. Buying put options on April 8th was at an all-time high in the last year. If we take a look at this on the chart for April 8th, where is April 8th? Look at the bottom right here. We're going to go to April 8th, right, somewhere around here. Basically, the perfect bottom is when there was max people buying put options to hedge the downside in their accounts. And I talk about this with you guys all the time with stock options, that when there's fear in the market, that is the time to sell the put options, not buy the put options, because people are willing to pay top dollar for them right here. So we will sell them for top dollar. Then when the market rebounds sharply, nobody wants the puts up here. You sold them for 20K. Now they're worth 5K. You do a 2-year contract. You only actually had to hold on to those contracts for a few months. Meanwhile, you reaped 60, maybe 75% of the profit just by holding them for a few months out of 24 months, because the share price went up, the sentiment flipped, and nobody wants them up here. So when you understand that, you understand that all these people were here that were buying puts. All those puts expired worthless. Most of them. They got smoked. And you could kind of see what's happening right now in the market. The put call ratio is going up a little bit, and it's not quite at these levels yet, but it is still relatively high. And you notice that people are making potentially the same mistake again. The more the market falls, the more people think it's going to fall. But in reality, that's not how the market works. That's not how investing works in the long term. If we take a look at this chart right here, you guys know that we talk about this a lot on the channel. But this is what dictates where the stocks are going to go in the long term. This just updated. This is for the S&P 500, by the way. But it doesn't matter. This goes for any individual company that you want to look at. The darker line is going to be the earnings per share of the S&P 500, and the lighter line is the actual index itself. You notice that this darker line is kind of like gravity, and the market is going to follow this line above and below it. When a market's a little bit above it, it might be overvalued. When a market's a little bit below it, it might be undervalued. So when you take a look at what's happening right now, yes, the market truly was a little bit overvalued in this time frame, like a month or two ago. Then we got a negative catalyst for the Iran thing, and it brought the market down. But now as the market's getting closer to this earnings per share growth line, and I know it kind of looks kind of skewed, like it's way worse than it actually is, the market right now is maybe 5 to 10% overvalued. It's not really that bad. It's very close to intrinsic value, in my opinion. And we'll talk about a couple things in a second for why I think it's actually at intrinsic value and why we could be allocating right now to make a lot of money. So as the market falls, it's getting cheaper, safer, and more compelling. The closer you get to this earnings per share growth line, the stronger the foundation is under you for when you allocate. So you want to allocate in times like this, in times like this, in times like this. This was COVID 2022. This was Liberation Day. You saw that people were buying the most amount of puts right here. The market went below the earnings per share growth line, and it snapped back very, very sharply. So what's happening right now is we're seeing it get closer, and we're seeing earnings per share growth basically vertical. So if we just let EPS grow for maybe like 2 or 3 more months and the market does nothing, this market's going to be right at intrinsic value, if not cheaper than intrinsic value. There could be a lot of opportunities to allocate. So the longer this Iran thing drags out, the longer the market does nothing for, the cheaper, safer, and more compelling it becomes. That's also correlated on this chart right here that just updated. You could see that the PE ratio, price earnings ratio level of the S&P 500 is now getting further away from 25 and closer to 20 right now, which is what we want to see. You are getting more bang for your buck. You're now paying $20 for a business, and it's throwing off $1 per year in profit. So it'll take roughly 20 years to get your initial investment back. Versus up here, you're paying $25 for a business and getting $1 per year in profit. So it'll take you 25 years to get your initial investment back, assuming that earnings per share growth is not growing, but it is growing. So my point is, you're getting more bang for your buck. Things are cheaper, safer, more compelling as they're falling and going down in price. So the overall deal with this Iran thing is that people are nervous, volatility is spiking, And a lot of people are worried that inflation just going to get out of control and go to the moon. But here's something that we have to look at. This is the Truflation CPI inflation index. Now, this is not government data. This is from an independent company that has millions of data points updated way better than what CPI government data is. And I feel like this is much, much more accurate than what all the other data is. So the fear right now is that inflation is going to get completely out of control because oil prices are going to get completely out of control. And if we just flip this to a 3-month chart of oil, oil had this huge spike all the way up here almost to $120 per barrel. Now it's down here at 96 per barrel. People think that oil is going to go to the moon. And when that goes to the moon, it's going to reflect in inflation. And when inflation goes up, it's implied that interest rates are going to be higher for longer. And that shows up in the 10-year Treasury bond, which has major power to crash the market. If this yield goes up a lot, the market's going to go down because just think about it. If you have the opportunity to go get a rough 10% per year return in the S&P 500 average in the long term, or you could go get 4.24% in a bond, what are you going to do? There's now a debate of what you should do. If this goes to 10%, and the S&P is at 10% also, it's like, who's going to want to take the risk in a stock market? Nobody. So it's kind of just trickling through from oil. Oil prices going up, inflation going up, interest rates going up, trickles into the 10-year bond. Companies have to pay more money when they want to borrow money. Your car loan's going to go up if you want to go buy a new car. Interest rates will be higher. Your mortgage, anything. Companies, when they want to go borrow money, they're going to have to pay more for that capital. So what you're seeing in the last 6 months is the 10-year bond actually went below 4%. But now it's at 4.24, and that's putting pressure on the market. But what I think is going to happen is this Iran thing is going to fizzle out. I don't think it's going to be a lasting thing. And the whole Strait of Hormuz thing, I think that it's actually BS. Because if we actually load up the Strait of Hormuz tracker, you could see right here, this is a Strait of Hormuz right here, this is Iran up here, this is Iraq, this is Saudi Arabia, UAE, and then Oman. So you can see that through the strait right here, there's really no boats traversing it. But do you want to know what the boats are doing? They're turning off their transponders. So while all the investors are like, oh my God, look at all these boats sitting here, and look at all these boats doing nothing over here, they're still traversing this. But they're turning off their transponders because they want to have less chance that Iran shoots at them. So 20% of the world's oil supply flows through this, but it's not like it's shut down. Iran is still flowing their oil through it. That's how they fund their entire country. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot and not let oil flow through it. So Iran's sending oil through it, China's sending oil through it, Japan's sending oil through it, the US is actually sending some oil through it, and I think that this is just very blown out of proportion. So let's talk about how do we capitalize on this stuff right now. Obviously, if we take a look at the S&P 500, the valuations are getting more reasonable. Earnings per share growth is very, very, very strong. So while we might have a slightly high price earnings ratio level, earnings per share growth is great because if we look at the estimates for Q1 of 2026, the estimated year-over-year earnings growth rate for the S&P 500 is 11.6%. That is very, very strong, guys. So while there is a little bit of a disconnect right here on valuation, we have good earnings per share growth. We have inflation. Even though it's spiking up a little bit with oil hitting gas prices, this little spike right here, it's still at 1.5%. The target's 2%. And I do think it's actually going to reverse and trend back down with time. So I'm not worried about this stuff, guys. There's a lot of noise out there. I'm not stressed. The key is to buy good companies at good prices and hold them for the long term. We'll look at a couple companies right here that I'm bullish on. Number one is going to be NVIDIA. Earnings per share is growing very rapidly. Revenue is growing very rapidly. Meanwhile, the stock is going sideways. There's a disconnect. Earnings per share is all the way up here, like at the tip of my cursor. The stock is stretched down like a rubber band. So once this Iran thing fizzles out and reverses, and when NVIDIA and AI gets a positive catalyst, this could easily be a $250 stock. So I would never want to sell cover calls right now because people are like, oh, the market's going sideways. It's going to keep going sideways. The more it goes sideways for, the less likely it's going to continue because you have the main dictator of where the stocks go, which is earnings per share. These are growing, market's going sideways. The stock is eventually going to follow that. Again, why I do longer duration contracts. Really strong earnings per share revenue growth. P ratio is very fair for the growth that you're getting. Robinhood is another company that I'm looking at. I did allocate a little bit to it. 36 P ratio trailing, very strong revenue and earnings per share growth. EPS going up and to the right. The stock was clearly overvalued up here. And hey, it's a good company, but it was a bad price right here. So good company at a bad price means bad investment. But now it's down here. It fell roughly 50%. Now I'm allocating. I think it's attractive to allocate down there. Meta's another one that I like. Earnings per share growing, revenue is growing. They're spending a lot on capital expenditures. Once they start to realize the profits from that, they're going to monetize the data centers. They're going to be more efficient. They're going to spend less on CapEx. And we're hearing rumors that Meta's potentially going to lay off 20% of their staff. They're not just going to go do that if they don't think the company's still going to run efficiently. What they're likely seeing is these AI investments are translating to higher productivity at the business. So as the stock's been basically doing nothing and EPS is growing, and now they're going to cut staff and save money, and more money will flow to the bottom line of earnings per share, the stock is probably going to follow that up as the EPS goes up and to the right. Revenue growth is okay. Earnings per share growth is okay. Even with this humongous CapEx spending that they're doing right now, you're getting down for a PE ratio trailing of 21, which is very, very fair. S&P and NASDAQ I'm allocating right now. I did recently sell some puts on the NASDAQ because it is pretty much at intrinsic value in my opinion. And I view this as, the market always climbs a wall of worry. In a couple years, the market's going to be worrying about something completely different likely. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this does pan out to be a World War III. But America's been through World War I, World War II, COVID, 1929, 2008, 2001, 9/11, crazy stuff. I believe in America. I think we're going to be fine in the long term. And when we get volatility like this in the market, we should capitalize on that in a responsible way, not bet the house on this little dip that we're getting, but responsibly start to allocate at cheaper prices. So that being said, that's the video. Like, subscribe, hit the hype button, drop a comment, hit the share button. That stuff helps the channel out a lot. With that being said, if you want to watch another good video about my top AI stocks to buy right now, click the link right here, and I'll see you guys there.